Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
Office Bloke Aidan.
Here we are on Sports Edition. If sports is for you, you know what to do. Leave us a like and subscribe. Go on, do it. Be a part of the new thing, the biggest thing.
The new thing.
Yeah, sports. Juan Soto.
Big move, eh? 15
Massive,
years.
huge.
I didn't even know you could have contracts that long.
Well, it's a 15-year contract. Yeah, he's going to be 85 when but he's probably, it makes Shohei Ohtani's contract look comparable now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But this, I think, $765 million as well. He's all up front. I don't think he's any deferred. I think it's all now.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. We'll see what they've got to say. This is the news of what they're talking about.
From the Yankees to the Mets as well.
We can come. Yeah, I know, Yankees to the Mets. I know, big switch across the subway.
Yeah, let's go.
Soto sends this one to center. That sends Thomas back. Still going back. He's hit the wall. It's out of here.
He knows how to hit the ball, doesn't he?
In baseball.
He's a generational talent.
Soto magic.
This guy is an automatic Hall of Famer.
Pay my guy. Pay Juan Soto.
I'll be open to this in every single team. I don't have any doors closed or anything like that.
Have you got my money?
What?
He's going to be a 26-year-old free agent. The world is his oyster.
I believe he's going to get more money than Ohtani. He's going to beat his present-day value, which was $460. I will bet you right now that he gets more than that.
You asked me, like, top of head, based on precedent, Juan Soto signs a 14-year, $650 million contract.
He's going to get something that starts with a 7, if not an 8. Not a 5 or a 6, but a 7. He's worth it.
Need to get my money. Better have my money.
The money was there, and we have a logo swap alert on SportsCenter. New York stays the same, but that logo is changing from the Yankees to the Mets. The Soto deal is done. Welcome to SportsCenter. I'm Nicole. He's Michael.
Yeah, it was the free agent decision of the baseball offseason, Juan Soto. He seemingly liked New York so much that he wants to stay. He just wanted.
The rumour I heard that is the Yankees sort of like dismissed his family and sort of like said they're not giving you a suite. He wanted a suite at the Yankee Stadium for his family, I guess. I don't know how true this is, but this is like what I read about it, and they turned him down. So the Mets says, "Come on over, we'll talk."
Yeah.
And but 700 odd million, 765. What? I don't think there's been a contract for $1 billion yet, has there?
Well, no, because this is the highest.
Yeah, I know, but I'm talking in sport.
No, this is the highest in sport.
This is the highest in sport, is it?
Yeah.
760. I wonder who's going to be the first billion. It's
Well,
around the corner, isn't it? It's knocking on the door.
It's probably going to be a baseball player, isn't it? Because the contracts they have are different.
Long contracts.
Yeah.
15 years. And what is he now? 26, 41 years old.
41 years old.
Right in his prime then.
Jesus.
Right in his prime when he's 41.
Is that old for a baseball player? Do they normally play till like
I think it's old for any sport. Your eyes start going at, in your 30s, don't they?
Wanted a new jersey. $765 million over 15 years. That's what the Mets will dole out for the four-time All-Star and former batting champ. Now, sources telling Jeff Passan all these numbers, and Jeff is also reporting that this deal does not include any deferred money. Now, in addition to an opt-out after 5 years, escalators in the deal could max out the total value at $800 million.
This is insanity.
The Mets will be Soto's fourth team since he entered the league 6 years ago. Now, Steve Cohen, of course, is the man who signs the checks for the Mets, and he opened up that checkbook all the way open for this contract. $765 passes Shohei Ohtani for the largest total value contract in MLB history. We mentioned the 15 years. That's also the longest contract ever.
It's a long
There's a lot
contract.
of
That
numbers
doesn't surprise
to take
me.
in here. So the one guy we need to talk to now is Jeff Passan.
15 years is like the length of a career, not average career.
Probably, yeah.
I'm trying to get my eyeballs back in my head here a little bit. Let's just start with the real basic question. How did all of this go down?
It went down, Nicole, over a frenzied 5-week process where teams, frankly, saw Juan Soto as the true apple of their eye. He is 26 years old. He is one of the 3 best hitters in baseball, and all teams needed to get him was a big bag of money, and that biggest bag came from the New York.
I think that applies to any free agent.
I know.
The only way you're going to get him is get that big bag of money.
Literally.
And I think when you're talking people like Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani, the big names in baseball. If you're looking to get the big name in any sport, I think you come up with the big
You
dough.
need to give him the money, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, it's all about the money, isn't it? Really, I don't think. I mean, it's showing there. When you move from the Yankees to the Mets, you go in directly to your competitor, aren't you?
Yeah.
The direct competition. I know they play in different leagues or whatever, but what you've got is it's the fan base. You don't get a Mets fan and a Yankees fan.
No.
You know, it's one or the other, isn't it?
Yeah,
but it's then you sort of like you're dissing that team to go see your rivals.
It's definitely all about the money then, isn't it?
Big time cash.
Mets, the $765 million not only sets a record, not only exceeding Shohei Ohtani's deal last year, but let's remember, Shohei Ohtani's deal is almost entirely deferred. The net present value of that was about $470 million. There is not a single dollar deferred in Juan Soto's contract. So not only did this beat Ohtani's deal, it absolutely crushed it, and it is the biggest contract in professional sports history.
So Michael just said, obviously, it's Steve Cohen who's the one who has to open the checkbook, and he opened it all the way up for this deal. You texted with him after the deal was announced. What did he tell you?
You know, it's really interesting because when Steve Cohen bought this team back in 2020, the expectations were absolutely enormous from Mets fans. For decades, they had languished with ownership that was not willing to spend like a New York team, like the New York Yankees typically would. Steve Cohen promised to change that. And, you know, he went out and got Francisco Lindor and signed him to an extension. He tried to get Carlos Correa, whose physical wasn't good, and ended up going to the Minnesota Twins. But he hadn't had that one moment, that one big free agent who changed the future, changed the trajectory of this franchise. And when I was texting with Steve Cohen, he said, very simply, just a big day for the franchise.
Yeah, a huge day for the franchise. What I'm curious about, too, none of this is deferred money. So it's $765 all right now. But there are also escalators in that contract. You say it could take this north of $800 million. What do some of those escalators look like?
The escalators are tied in, Nicole, to the opt-out in the deal. He has an opt-out after year 5 of the contract, and if he chooses not to opt out, the average annual value of the deal will go up from $51 million to $55 million. And remember, because this is such an enormous deal.
Imagine earning $1 million a week just to play sport. I know it's not just to play. I know it ain't just about just playing sport. Someone's going to have to let us know as well. Does that include like image rights and stuff like that? Will that go against everything that goes with it? Image rights, any other kind of sponsorship deal that goes with it? Is that included in for what the Mets may be a part of, or is that just purely for him to play?
I mean, it sounds like that, doesn't it?
So it's $51 million a year. That's $1 million a week, pretty much.
Yeah, just under.
I wonder if they come out. I don't know how much tax you have to pay on that, income tax.
Yeah, that's true.
Or whether it's a tax-free deal as well.
That's
so the club pick up the deal on the or the team pick up the deal on the tax as well. That's a mega amount of money, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
$1 million a week.
Crazy.
For doing something you love.
Yeah.
Eh?
Deal, 15 years, longer than any that we have seen in the history of Major League Baseball. All those years tack on, all that money builds up, and all of a sudden you've got a deal that's $765 that turns into something even more.
Something more, monopoly money.
Yes,
That's
pretty
the
much.
only way to describe it. Jeff Passan, always a pleasure.
All right, for a little more perspective, we bring in ESPN baseball analyst Eduardo Perez. Eduardo, first let me get your reaction to the contract itself. $765 for 15 and no deferred money. What does that say to you?
It's impressive. You know what it is? $51 million AAV per year. Juan Soto just eclipsed everything that we even thought that we were talking about, this hot stove, to be able to get that amount of money with no deferral whatsoever. He automatically, easily becomes their best hitter in the lineup. But my goodness, Juan Soto right now with this $765 million, I would say that's probably over $35 million more than I thought he was going to get, and really impressive and really deserves it. Right.
One thing I want to say about this as well is, where does it leave? You imagine being on the Mets and you're only getting 200 million, and you're a superstar with 200 million, 50 million, and all of a sudden this guy comes in and goes boom, 765 million.
It does make it awkward in the changing room, doesn't it?
Well, he'd be paying for the He'd be paying for the night out,
Oh
wouldn't
yeah,
he?
100%.
You know what I mean, he'd be picking up the tab for dinner.
That must be quite annoying at the same time because everyone just now knows how much money you have.
Well, it puts for me as well with baseball. Baseball is one of them where you don't really hear much about baseball over here. It's not a massive apart until they come to West Ham's ground and play that 1 game a year or whatever it's 2 games a year that gets played. It's still not a big thing over here.
No.
It's on par with probably cricket. You probably hear more about Indian cricket than you do with baseball, really. I know it's huge in Japan and places like that and parts of Central America and Caribbean, but it's huge in the USA. And this puts it on I think this contracts like this and what Shohei Ohtani got puts it on the map on a global scale. Yeah. People are talking about it now over here, and everyone's going, Juan Soto, over here they wouldn't call it, it'd be called Juan.
Yeah.
Juan Soto, what's he doing? What name's that? But it's but with someone like that, it puts baseball on the map across the globe, I think, as people will be talking about it.
Yeah.
And that can only be a good thing.
Right there in the perfect storm, the New York Yankees going after him. He already showed that he can play in pinstripes. You have the Dodgers interested in him as well. The Boston Red Sox, the only team.
If he went to the Dodgers, that would just be way too overpowered, man.
Do you imagine be superstar?
Is there like salary cap on teams?
I think there is, but I think you might have to pay a fine. I think that's what it is. If you go over your salary cap, I know that works in the NFL, where if you go or the NBA, if you go over a salary cap, you have to pay a fine, and people just go over the salary cap all the time and pay the fine. They definitely, I'm pretty sure I read about that in the NBA.
Also, north of the border, the Toronto Blue Jays in. This was a perfect storm, perfect season for Juan Soto. The only thing he missed was the World Championship.
Yeah, it seemed like so many teams had the money. It's about how much money, how many years, and you mentioned if any of that money is going to be deferred. Whatever he saw from the Mets is what he wanted to sign for. So let's talk about the team aspect of this, because if we go back to this past season, for maybe the majority of the season, at least more than half of it, the Mets were a disappointment based on their preseason expectations. They got hot late. They made a nice postseason run. So then you set the expectation for 2025. You mentioned he automatically becomes their best hitter. But what does he do to the overall lineup there in New York that would potentially make them one of the favorites in the National League to get to the World Series?
Well, look what he did just as a direct impact with Aaron Judge. It made Aaron
breaking up a little bit there.
More pitches in the zone than he had ever seen because of Juan Soto's on-base percentage. This past year, his on-base percentage, again, over 400, to be exact, 419. That's 75 points higher than the highest on-base percentage of the New York Met player last year, and that was Francisco Lindor. And you could even say 90 points higher than everyone else. So, look, he changes the dynamic of the way that you approach a lineup. It is a well-balanced lineup. Most likely the Mets still have to see what they're going to do with at first base. Are they going to keep Vientos, move him over to first base, and then look for a third baseman? Or trust in Beatty and give him an opportunity? Or are they going to go back to Pete Alonso and sign him? But is there enough money left in New York with Steve Cohen? I bet there is.
All right, let's take it to the other team there in New York, the Yankees. It's rare that they get outbid for a player, especially a guy they already had on their roster in their clubhouse this past season. What type of void does that leave there in the Bronx?
It leaves a tremendous void because now we're going to see again how teams are going to approach Aaron Judge without Juan Soto, how teams are going to approach that lineup without two of the main guys, the two-hitter and the three-hole hitter in that lineup, the guys that can beat you at any time, especially with the discipline that Juan Soto has at the plate. Look, New York put in a valiant effort. 16 years. They're saying it's 16 years, $730 million. That's a very good offer. Yet, no one was going to outbid Steve Cohen. And the New York Yankees are now have to go and plan B. And trust me on this one, they did have plan B ready, and they should be very aggressive moving forward after missing out on Juan Soto.
Yeah, that was the big domino to fall in terms of position players with Juan Soto. Now we see what happens with other players. And to your point, what the Yankees can do to fortify that lineup now that Juan Soto is going from the Bronx over to Queens. Eduardo Perez here on SportsCenter. Appreciate you.
It's one of them things with American sport when you see like numbers thrown around with the US sports, whether it be baseball, basketball, NFL. It's just ridiculous numbers. If that was thrown around over here, it'll be frowned upon.
Yeah. 100%.
Whereas there, it's encouraged. And that's the difference in like a sports culture, where even if you're not a Mets fan, people are going, yeah, it's good for the Mets.
Yeah.
You know, whereas if someone spent that kind of money on bringing, I don't know, a Lionel Messi or a Cristiano Ronaldo, or whoever,
pay to win.
They'll be like, you're just buying it. You know, you're buying whatever you do. It's a team sport.
Yeah.
One player's not going to change it, but it'd be nice to see if the Mets. It's obviously going to improve the Mets, and the Mets were quite close last year, if you remember. They weren't far away from
they went on a run at the end,
playoffs, weren't they? Yeah. But it's a huge amount of money, mega amount of money. And it's fair play to the guy if he's getting it.
Yeah, I know,
fair play to anyone that can knock them kind of numbers in.
He's hustled them to get that much money.
Free agency though, isn't it?
Telling the Yankees no for $730 million for 16 years.
Yeah, he obviously wasn't happy at the Yankees for whatever reason, wasn't he? He wanted a fresh start.
Maybe he wants to go and be the star man. Rather than
that's it with Judges there, isn't it? So
Judges,
yeah, it could be. But I think Soto was the star man at the Yankees.
Yeah, probably.
You know, it's but he's definitely going to be the star man.
Oh yeah,
behind Lindor. It'd be interesting to see how he progresses there with the Mets and see what the Yankees
do well now, man.
And see what the Yankees do as well to replace him.
Nah, fuck them.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.
Cheers.